Okay, what if you had a computer from the 90s? I still remember my first one. You know, bulky, slow, crashing when you need it the most, and filled with outdated programs you didn't even install. Every click feels like a chore, a waiting game, and no matter how hard you try, it just can't keep up. Would you want to work with that every single day? No way, right? But here's the thing, what if that computer is actually your brain? Have you ever wondered why some people seem to break through every obstacle, moving forward effortlessly, while you feel stuck no matter how hard you try? Is it because they're more talented, more capable, or just luckier? The answer is no. It's because of how their minds are programmed. Your mindset is like the operating system of your life. It is full of outdated beliefs and limiting stories that you'll keep hitting the same walls no matter how hard you push. But what if you could reprogram it? What if you could reset the mental barriers holding you back and finally unlock the potential you know is inside of you? In this video, I'm going to show you how to identify and reframe the limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck so you can rewire your brain for success. We'll walk through practical steps that I have used myself, and by the end, you have a blueprint for creating the mindset you need to achieve your biggest goals. Hola familia, it's Jenny here, and on this channel, we help achievers like you break limitations, build unstoppable confidence, and reach the success that you were always meant to achieve. First, I want to share a story that explains how limiting beliefs work. Alright, let's think of an elephant, one of the most powerful creatures on earth, lived its entire life tied to a fragile rope. When it was a baby, the rope was so strong enough to hold it in place. No matter how hard it pulled, it just couldn't break free. Over time, you know what happened? The elephant just gave up. Years later, as a full-grown adult elephant, those animals can grow up to anywhere between 6,000 and 15,000 pounds. Now, obviously, the elephant is capable of snapping the rope easily, but the elephant still never tried. It believed that the rope was stronger than it was. The rope was not holding the elephant back. You know what it was? The belief of the elephant. That's how our minds work. The limitations we carry, the doubts we had, and the ceilings that we think we cannot break through, they are not real barriers. They're stories we've been told, or stories that we've told ourselves over and over and over again until we believe them. But here's the good news. Just like the elephant could easily snap the rope, you can rewrite your story too. You can reset your limited mindset and brainwash yourself. Yes, you heard me right. Brainwash yourself to succeed. This is where we start, by identifying those mental ropes and learning to break free. But before I show you how to break free and rewrite your story, let me share how I did it, because I've been exactly where you are. Growing up, I never questioned the beliefs that shaped my world. They weren't just ideas, they were rules of life, handed down by culture, tradition, and the people I loved. But what I didn't realize was how deeply those rules were shaping and quietly limiting my potential. You know, in the Latino culture, some of us were raising, there's a powerful emphasis on working hard and keeping your head down and be grateful for whatever opportunities you get. Also, in my case, success was also tied to an executive role at corporate. And at first glance, it sounds like a recipe for success, right? But beneath the surface, it often carries another message. Don't dream too big. Don't ask for more. Be satisfied with what you have, even if it means playing small. And then don't let me start with the stories about money. I grew up hearing that wealthy people, perhaps they were corrupt or selfish, or that money doesn't grow on trees, that people with a lot of ambition, they can lose their way. For Latina women specifically, there's even a saying that says, calladita te ves más bonita. It translates to, when you're quiet, you're prettier. Can you believe that? The message was clear. Stay small, stay quiet, and don't make waves. For years, I carried these beliefs like a heavy backpack. They shaped my decisions, my self-worth, and even the risks that I was willing to take. I didn't even know the term limiting beliefs back then. I just thought this was how life was supposed to be. But deep down, I always had bigger dreams. I wanted more than the path that was laid out for me. And when I finally realized that I was the one holding myself back, everything changed. The turning point came when I started investing in myself through personal development. And I'll be honest, at first it was uncomfortable. It was like peeling back layers of who I thought I was. Confronting these beliefs felt raw and painful, but the more I dug into the stories I'd grown up with, the more I realized how much they were dictating my life. And if I didn't rewrite those stories, they were going to dictate my future, and not just mine, the future of my loved ones too. One of the first sparks of transformation came from Tony Robbins. His teachings helped me seeing that my thoughts were not just passive, they were shaping my reality. He talked about reframing beliefs and building a mindset that aligns with your goals. And it was like a light bulb just went off. I don't have to believe those stories anymore. I can write my own. From that moment, my journey became one of unlearning and relearning, unlearning and relearning. I started questioning everything. What beliefs had I been taught that no longer served me? And what did I want to believe instead? For example, one of my biggest doubts was about becoming an entrepreneur. I kept telling myself, I'm not a businesswoman. I don't know enough. But when I broke it down, I saw the truth. I had over 23 years of leadership and management experience in the corporate world. And guess what? I did no business. And as far as the things that I didn't know yet, like sales or marketing, I reminded myself that I was capable of learning. Reframing those beliefs was not an overnight fix. It took repetition, it took intentional action, and honestly surrounding myself with people who inspired me to grow. But with every step, I could feel those old mental ropes loosening. And now I can look back and see how far I've come. And here's what I've learned. Those invisible limits are not unique to me. We all have them. We have these stories that we've been told or have told ourselves over and over. And the first step to break free is recognize that they exist. So now I want to help you start rewriting your story, because once you do, you realize that the limits holding you back were never real. They were just waiting for you to break through. Let me ask you something. Have you ever wanted to try something new or take a big step forward, but the moment you did, you heard that little vocecita, the little voice in your head saying, who are you kidding? You cannot do this. That voice is not your truth. It's your limiting belief talking. Limiting beliefs are like invisible walls that box you in, dictating what you think you're capable of. But the good news? Those walls are not real. They're just stories you've told yourself over and over again. And today, I'm going to show you how to rewrite them. Let me tell you, this process has completely transformed my life. And I know it can do the same thing for you. Let's break it down step by step. The first step in breaking free is identifying those limiting beliefs. But here's the tricky part. They've been with you for so long that they start to feel normal. They are the background noise you barely notice. But here's a good way to spot them. Whenever you're about to try something good and going outside of your bubble, your comfort zone, pay attention to that resistance. You know, that voice in your head that's suddenly full of doubts. This resistance is where your limiting beliefs live. And to get to the root of them, you need to go deeper. Start journaling. Don't overthink it. Just write it down. Every doubt that comes up. For example, I said, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough, or I'm too late for the game. I'm not articulate enough. I didn't go to the right school, or I don't have money. I don't have the time. And my favorite, what will people say? Write it all out. Don't filter. These thoughts might feel uncomfortable or even silly when you actually see them on paper. But trust me, this is where the real work begins. These doubts are like clues that they are showing you the exact beliefs that are holding you back. And here's the thing, a limiting belief is not the truth. It's just a story that you've been telling yourself often, without even realizing it. The next step is about rewriting that story. But first, you need to see it clearly. So take your time with this process. Be honest, be compassionate with yourself, and celebrate, because once you identify what's been keeping you stuck, guess what? You can start to break free. Now let's move to the next step. Once you've identified your limiting beliefs, the next step is to dig even deeper. I know, to figure out where they came from. Because these beliefs didn't just appear out of nowhere. They often trace back to a specific experience, a childhood moment, or even something someone said a long time ago that stuck. So take the time to reflect on this, okay? Maybe it was a comment, I don't know, from a parent, a teacher, or a peer. For example, maybe at some point you were told, you know what, you're not very smart, right? Or people like us don't do things like that. At the time, it might have felt like a harmless or passing remark, but over the years, it took root in your mind and grew into a belief. Now here's the important part. Start journaling about these origins. Write about the specific event or the situation where this belief might have started. And then start asking yourself, is this really true? Who said this? And why did I believe it? How has holding on this belief limited me in the past or now? This kind of self-reflection can feel heavy, but it's powerful. You might realize that the belief is not based on truth at all. It's based on somebody else's opinion or a single moment in time in the past that doesn't define you today. For example, let's say you've always believed that you're not good enough. I'm not good enough. When you trace it back, maybe it started in school when you didn't do well at a test. For example, let's say that you've always believed I'm not good enough. When you trace it back, maybe it started in school when you didn't do well on a test and somebody implied that you were not capable. But think about it now. Does one test define your worth? Of course not. Yet that belief has likely shaped decisions you've made ever since. And this is where you start to question, why am I still letting that moment rob me of my potential? The truth is, holding on these beliefs only holds you back. Once you see where they started, you can begin to start to let them go and replace them with something way more empowering. This step is about bringing awareness to the stories you've been carrying and deciding that you're ready to rewrite them, because you deserve a mindset that lifts you up and not one that keeps you tied down. And this is where the real shift happens. Once you've identified and questioned your limiting beliefs, it's time to rewrite them. Reframing is all about taking that negative, disempowering thought and turning it into a truth that propels you forward instead of holding you back. The first thing is to understand that your words matter. If your limiting belief says, I'm not capable, it keeps you stuck in doubt, okay? So reframing, it may sound like, I'm capable of learning and growing. You see the difference? The new belief doesn't have to be this grand, overwhelming declaration. It just has to open the door. Open the door to action and possibility. Now, what if the limiting belief still feels true to you? Maybe it's something like, I'm not a business person, right? Like mine. And you genuinely feel that way. I know I did. Here's where I disagree with the old advice, fake it till you make it. To me, that feels hollow and fake. Instead, I have a new mantra, is do it until you make it, or make it until you make it. Here's what it looks like. If you don't believe that you're a business person yet, start embodying the actions and mindset of one. Don't overcomplicate it. Break it down into smaller steps. Start asking yourself, what does a business person do? What qualities do they have? And what do I already know that proves me that I'm on this path? What skills can I actively learn to grow into this identity? Let me share a personal story. I used to think, just like I said, I'm not a businesswoman. That belief felt huge and overwhelming, so I had to define it. I had to reframe it. What does a businesswoman even mean? When I broke it down, I realized part of it was about having business acumen, knowledge, and experience. And guess what? I already had a solid foundation. I had over 23 years of leadership and management experience in the corporate world. That was undeniable proof that I knew something about business. Then I look at the areas where I felt less confident, like sales and marketing, perhaps detailed business finance. And instead of letting that gap stop me, I reframed the belief. I told myself, I may not know everything yet, but I'm capable of learning and creating a path to grow into the person I want to be. From there, I got intentional about taking action. I built a learning plan, I read books, I sought mentors and coaches, and I practiced the skills I needed. Every step I took reinforced my new belief. And over time, I truly started to embody it. Reframing isn't just about saying something nice to yourself. It's about backing those words with action. It's about becoming the person who aligns with your new truth. And when you start showing up as that person, even in small ways, you'll feel the shift in your mindset and in your confidence. Because it's not about faking it, it's about doing it step by step until it becomes who you are. And once you reframe your limiting beliefs, the work is not done. It takes repetition, it takes consistent action and reinforcement to truly internalize your new empowering belief. Think of it as reprogramming your mindset. Every time you take action, every time you choose your new belief over the old one, you are wiring your brain for success. And this is where persistence matters. Changing your mindset is not an overnight transformation. It's actually a daily practice. Remember that you're rewiring years of having these limiting beliefs. Repetition builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. So keep showing up, keep taking the steps that align with your new belief, even if they're small. Your environment is critical to sustaining your growth. This includes everything from the books that you read, the podcasts that you listen to, even the social media you engage with. And most importantly, the people you surround yourself with. When you intentionally curate a supported, growth-oriented environment, you are reinforcing your new beliefs every single day. Personally, I found so much value in connecting with people who are perhaps a few steps ahead of me in their journey, but they became my mentors, my guide, my support system. and sources of inspiration. But what surprised me was how much I also had to offer them. With my years of experience as an executive leader in the corporate world, I brought valuable insights to the table. It reminded me that growth is a two-way street. You're not just learning from others, you're also contributing to. Finally, don't forget to celebrate your wins. I know, I love celebrating all the wins along the way. This part is crucial. It's so easy to fall in the trap of only focusing on what's missing and how far you still have to go. But growth happens when you intentionally recognize how far you've already come. Celebrating your progress keeps you anchored in your new identity. It's a way of saying to yourself, look at who I've become. Look at what I was able to achieve. If you skip this step, you risk into sliding back into your own mindset, into the person that once you were, instead of embracing the person that you are becoming. It's a simple shift in perspective, but it makes all of the difference. Instead of focusing on the gap between where you are and where you want to be, focus on the growth, the progress you made, the steps you've taken, the wins you've earned. Because in the end, this journey is not about perfection, okay? It's about becoming. One step, one belief, one action at a time. And when you intentionally repeat that process while surrounding yourself with the right people and influences, you're building a mindset that doesn't just overcome limits. It redefines what's possible. Accountability has been honestly a game changer for me. But let me tell you, the way we approach it is what makes the difference. My husband and I used to have these accountability meetings, and honestly, we hated it. We even hated the name. The name alone made it feel like it was a chore. Somebody was checking on us. So then we renamed them as Harmony Huddles. And it worked. In these huddles, we share our goals for the week, for the month, things that we're striving towards individually, as a team, personally, professionally, for the family. And at the end, we make sure that we celebrate. And honestly, the celebrations are not these grand, extravagant things. Sometimes it's simple as a mini date, or maybe we're buying something that we both have been eyeing for a little bit. Other times, yes, we pop open a bottle of champagne to toast to our progress. It's about creating moments to acknowledge the wins, big or small, and reinforcing that sense of accomplishment. If you're starting this journey, I'm telling you, I highly recommend and encourage you to find your own accountability system. It doesn't have to be a spouse or a partner. It can be a close friend, it can be a mentor, a coach, or even a group of like-minded people. The important part is having somebody to share your goals with and reflect on your progress. And if you have a loved one or somebody close to you, this process is something you can share with them. Start with one limiting belief. You have to overcomplicate it. Just one, and go through the steps together. It's not just about self-growth, it's about creating a ripple effect that can inspire and uplift those around you. Because at the end of the day, growth doesn't happen in isolation. It thrives in connection, in partnership, and in celebrating the journey. One step, one huddle, one toast at a time. Salud! Gracias, and thank you so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe if you're new, and share with others who have also big goals this year.